Hello everyone, welcome back for another episode of Talking Craps, where I do some recap, some rants and raves, a little bit of discussion regarding some strategies. I already did post my trip recap video earlier in the week about my quick session at the Wynn, stopping by the Palazzo, and checking out the Strat for the first time in a long time. So I'm not going to go over all the details, but just want to point out a couple things. Yeah, I started off on the wrong foot, losing $800 on a single spin of roulette, just completely whiffing. I was trying to get like a head start, right? Because I had basically $50 per number, and so if one of those hits, then it's a nice 1750. Yeah, it's a nice 1750 win. That's a nice little boost, and I might bet a little bigger on my craps rolls, but nope, that didn't happen. So I arrived with cash, and a lot of times the casinos, when they band the cash together, they'll paper clip the $100 bills in increments of 25. So for a band of 5,000, you'll get 2 paper clip, 2,500. For a band of 10,000, you'll have 4 of those. So because I bought in for 800 at the roulette table, I had 1,700 left in that paper clips portion. And so when I went back to the Crapless table, and this was the Crapless table where I hit that ATS bonus with the 100 on the all a couple weeks ago. So, I was trying to see if I can repeat that magic. But nope, it was not going well. There was one other guy at the table already by himself. I waited, and he summoned out shortly. So I bought in for the 1,700. Did my usual, working the extremes for a quarter each.
A few moments later.
Before talking about the roll, real quick. So I had, you guys know now, I've gotten permission to film at some properties. And I've reached out to more and more properties. And, I just automatically assume that all the major properties on the strip will just automatically deny. But to my surprise, I got a response from the Wynn, and this, who I'm assuming is a woman based on her name, responded and said, okay, these are our guidelines, and okay, you're allowed to film like this. I was doing a double take. I was like, oh, okay. So I actually took a screenshot from one of my videos that it might have been a photo, maybe not a screenshot from a video, but I basically sent her a photo and said, okay, so you're saying that if I have my camera trained on my table in front of me showing this area, then I'm allowed to film? And she said, yes, the security is aware of our policies, so if you go beyond that and you start filming other patrons or the crew, they will come and stop you. Okay, thank you. And I had that email saved, and so when I arrived at the Wynn that morning, first thing I did was talk to the box person, and I said, hey, so I reached out to the PR team at Wynn, and I was told that I'm allowed to film as long as I do this and that. And he said, oh, no, I'm not filming. It's like, well, are you sure? Because I have this email, this is the person, and I gave the person's name. And so and by this time, like, some other guy was in the pit, and so they were discussing it, and they said, oh no, we can't. And they said, okay, we'll make a call. And then a couple minutes later came back and said, oh no, your name is not on any kind of list, so we can't allow you to film. So I don't know what all of that was about. I emailed back to the same person, and I explained to her what had happened. So I don't know, hopefully, hey, it'll be great if I can get a filming permission at the Wynn, right? Because that'd be rare. I haven't seen anyone filming any content at the Wynn, so that'd be awesome if I could get that. But once again, when I got that first initial response, I was doing a double take because I didn't believe it. I was like, are you sure? But yeah, it kind of sucked going in there, like, thinking that I might be able to actually legitimately film my session. but I was not allowed to. And it's too bad because I had a really good roll there. But yeah, I wasn't filming, so I don't have an accurate count. But yeah, we were hitting points. We were hitting repeaters. So I realized whenever I try to go by just pure memory, it's easy to overstate how many rolls you've had. There were many times when I guessed that, oh man, I must have rolled like 50 times. But when I go back and review the recording, I was like, okay, I had 30. 30 is great, but once you're above like 20 rolls, it's hard to keep track. So yeah, very good roll. So I arrived at the table with 400, bought in for 25, so I had like 29 and change. Stayed afloat, but quickly I was sitting on over 5,000 after my roll. The older gentleman who had joined me to my left, very short roll, and then went to the other side, and the first guy, short roll, but his buddy had a decent roll, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 12 to 15 rolls, which is always nice. And the real nice thing was that he hit back-to-back par fours, and I had parlayed them. So yeah, my 4 was pressed up to 100, so that paid a nice 700. And then I pressed to 200. Unfortunately, didn't hit that one, but we hit the easy way, and I had 500 buy bet on the 4. So yeah, it still paid nice, $1,000, and I same bet it there, because had we hit it the hard way, I might have full pressed that thing from 500 to 1,500. Yeah, so whenever it's an even number and I hit, with the hard way, I am often, full pressing the buy bet or the place bet, trying to just ride that momentum. So yeah, so at the peak I had maybe like 7,000 and change. I should have a photo of the rack check. Well, the dice came back to me.
A few moments later.
So while playing at the Wynn, regular craps table, I tried something a little unusual for me. I tried a drawdown strategy. It's where you bet higher to start with, then after a hit, you draw down. You basically take half off of your bets, and then if it hits again, you can take it down another half, depending on how much you're betting. So after my good roll, I was up a little bit, so I took a chance. And at first, I wanted to try going 300 across per number, and then after a hit, take it down to 150 across per number, and after that, take it down again to 75s, and then leave 90 on the 6 and 8. But being that it's my first time, I didn't want to get too ambitious, so I went 150 across each number. I think the point might have been the 5 or something, because I remember it was not the 6 or 8, because when I did the drawdown, this threw me off. So I went 150 per number, which is fine. 150 per number is actually a good bet, right? On the 5 and 8, it will pay 175. On the 5 and 9, I'm sorry, did I say 5 and 8? I said 6 and 8, 150 pays 175. 5 and 9, 150 pays 210. And on the 4 and 10, 150 obviously will pay double, 300 minus a vig of $7. So yeah, it's a good bet. So I tried it, hit one of the inside numbers. So I got paid 175, I think. I can't remember if it was a 6 or an 8 or a 9. And then I said, okay, take me down to... Now this threw me off because it's not exactly half, because I want to leave 90 each on the 6 and 8. So there was a little bit of a fumbling there, and I guess I should have kind of had that number in my mind before. I still don't, because that's not a typical bet that I make. So yeah, eventually we got it. So 75 per number on the 4, 9, and 10, 90 each on the 6 and 8, and we hit another number. So 90 on the 6 and 8 will pay 105. 75 on the 5 or 9 pays 105, and then 75 on the 4 and 10 pays 150 minus a vig of, at the Wynn they take $4 on 75. Yeah, they round up. So yeah, I tried that. Then I did not take it down. I did not draw down any further. I kept them at that level for about another 2 or 3 rolls, and then just kept collecting. And then I started pressing again. So the thing with the drawdown, a regression, betting strategy, it works when it works, right? Because after the first hit of collecting 175, and then the second hit collecting 105, I just racked 280. My initial risk was 750 on the numbers. I had a pass line bet, so I put 125 behind, or 100 behind, or whatever the case was. But then I took that down to 225, 400. So after 2 hits, my risk in how much I have, in bets, it's been reduced. I only have about, 120 to 130-ish at risk on the box numbers. I'm not counting the odds behind the pass line right now, because even if I wasn't doing a regression style, I would probably have the same amount behind as odds, right? So yeah, so then I'm back to where I would have started, had I just bet quarters and maybe same bet it, or maybe pressed once. So yes, it works if you get a couple early hits. Now, the biggest downfall of any regression strategy is if you have a short roll and you 7 out right away, or after just 1 hit, or you can have a bunch of, this is a regular craps table, so if you have several horn numbers mixed in there, so they don't count towards anything and your bets are still out there, and then you take a big hit, now you just lost like 750 out there on the box numbers instead of say 130, 135, which would be in my normal. So that's more than $600 difference. In order to make that up, you would have to hit, even if you went back out there at the same level with the 150 across, you would have to hit multiple times to make up for it. So I did, pick the right spot to try it, because we did hit several inside numbers, and then I started pressing back up again. But what if I had 7 out, after 1 or 2 rolls? Then I would have been in the hole, and I would have to decide, okay, do I want to go back out there with the same or even bigger, right? Do 300 per number, right? And then regress from there. So yeah, it's a dangerous game. I tried it because I was, I had just had a great roll, made money. I was in the positive territory now after having been down a bit. So I had chips in front of me, and I felt this was a good spot to try it, right? And if I lose it, I still have plenty of chips. I can make a stand. I can decide whether I want to just go back to my normal, starting kind of minimum across and pressing up, or, start higher and regress, or same bet. But yeah, number one thing though, if I'm ever going to try doing any kind of regression style, I am going to have to figure out, the bets ahead of time, so I'm not fumbling while, we're in between the rolls. And then an alternative to that, could be leave the other numbers alone, or leave the number that hit alone, leave it up higher, and regress some of the others. And in that case, you're hoping for a repeater. There's many variations. So I don't want to be too one-dimensional. Most of the time you'll just see, I'm betting across and pressing, or I'll pick a couple numbers, utilize the come bet to kind of jumpstart, right? Because I'm really looking for a repeater. If I only have quarters across, but all of a sudden I have a come bet with full odds, then, right, I'm jumpstarting the bet on that particular number. So yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still willing to try different strategies. I'm not a big fan of like the hedge styles. Sure, it could be safer, but I want to be able to make money when that 1 or 2 hot roll happens. I often say, if you play enough, you'll see that during your session you might have one really good roll. So when that roll comes around, you got to take advantage of it. And that roll doesn't necessarily have to be 30, 40 rolls. It could just be about 10 to 15 rolls, but those rolls are concentrated on a particular number. Most recently, one of my videos from Palazzo shows that out of 20 rolls, I had nine of them were eights, and 4 out of the 9 eights were hard eights, right? And then right after that, I had a 12 roller where like 6 were eights and 3 of them were hard eights. When the numbers are bunched up like that, and you are full pressing or power pressing, parlaying the hard ways, if you are playing in that kind of manner, you don't need the 30, 40 rolls to make money. Just that 12 roller, if you hit those 8s and a couple of hard 8s, you might have parlayed it, so nickel goes to 50, and then the 50 pays 450. That's all you need. And I don't remember the exact sequence, but I know that I clipped the one segment from that session, and I had pressed my hard 8 to 150, and I hit that 150 pays 1350. So I think what happened was I went from a nickel full parlay to 50. The 50 paid 450 when the hard 8 hit, and I pressed the hard 8 up another 100. So I put 150 on the hard 8. Now, that day, I was taking a huge beating. This was like the day that I dumped back like 22,000 in one day at Venetian and Palazzo. That was just stupidity. But because I was having such a rough day, I was still pressing, I was still being aggressive. But had it been not such a rough day, and having seen how many 8s and hard 8s were rolling, I really, would have thought, might have done it. I would have full parlayed twice. So the nickel goes to 50, and then the second hard 8 takes the 50 to a full 500. So you take the 450 payout, put it back on the hard 8, and that's 500. And one more hit on the hard 8, that pays you 4,500, right? Starting from a nickel, 3 hits, and you pay 4,500. Of course, it does not happen often, and you don't have to full parlay, right? You don't have to go from $50 to $500 full parlay. Next time though, when I have a little bit of a buffer, when I'm up a little bit or having a decent roll, I'm gonna take that 50 on the hard way and press it up to 200, right? Pocket a little more than half of the payout, but throw the rest of it back on there, and heck, that's gonna pay you 1,800 right there. So 3 hits on a hard 6 or 8 will pay you 1,800 extra, and plus whatever's on the place bet. So yeah, that's the goal. Have I ever hit a hard way for 200? I have, occasionally. I know that recently I've hit several hard ways, on the hard 8, hard 10 with like $150 on it. But yeah, when those pairs are hitting, that's a good thing. So yeah, and lately I've been playing, I think I might have been playing more crapless than regular craps. I still go back and forth, and it just really depends. If you're at crapless and the horn numbers are not hitting, then I can't make money because I play differently. I don't press I often don't even have bets inside until a couple hits, or maybe I have a nickel on the hard 6 or 8 or 4 and 10, and I use that to jumpstart whatever I end up betting inside. So sometimes I might be hitting a bunch of inside numbers, but because I don't start off with the bet on the inside, the outcome, I'm not gonna make as much money if those numbers are hitting. I'm really relying on the extremes, the 2, 3, 11, 12. So yeah, I don't want to bet across all 10 numbers at a crapless game, because then my exposure is way too high. It's just amplified, and at crapless, that money just comes and goes way faster. So there are more numbers. If you try to cover more numbers, sure, if the dice are cooperating, you'll be fine. But if not, it's gonna wipe you out real fast. So the ideal situation is You know, you roll a extreme on the come out, use that to press up the extremes, maybe hit a hard way or another extreme, take that money and start betting inside as well. But you know, my main strategy is I'm looking for repeaters. So, you know, I probably will not bet the insides until they start hitting. So, yeah. All right.
A few moments later.
And, you know, I had an okay roll, but, you know, I stayed a little too long. So I left that table with about 5,400 and change in chips. So I had 5 yellow, you know, $1,000 chips. And so, you know, I was kind of looking at the time and looking around at the tables, and that original Crapless table was empty again. So I walked back over there. By this point, they had raised the minimum to 50, but, you know, there's no one there. So I said, hey, can I play at quarters? And the boxman said, okay, yeah, that's not a problem. And he saw me there earlier too, so yeah, it was not an issue. So I'm playing at quarters. I only bet like quarter 5 on the bonus, but I did the usual, and I had a really nice roll, and we ended up needing the aces and the yo for the bonus, but a come out 7 wiped the bonus out, so unfortunate. But you know, because I was, you know, hitting numbers, I pressed up the bet to quarter, 50, quarter. So quarters on the side would pay $750, and $50 on the all would pay $7,500. So going back at it, and I ended up hitting the tall side, so got paid $750. But the boxman, so, you know, and I'm alone at the table for the majority of the time. So I'm rolling alone, and out of nowhere, the boxman says, hey, you got to hit both dice, you know, against the back wall. I was shocked because, like, wait, I did hit the back wall. And he said, well, half the time you're not. So I was like, oh, okay, but, you know, I mean, right now I just hit the back wall, right? And I don't want to get into it. I hate having arguments at the table. You guys know I will often turn the bets off whenever there's, you know, some sort of commotion, disturbance, arguments, right? So, yeah, okay, fine. So I, you know, adjusted the door just a little bit so that they're landing a little closer to the wall. And thankfully, you know, I kept hitting numbers. And I, you know, kept going. I'm still alone at the table. And eventually, after like another 10 rolls, the boxman says, all right, you can't have your hands cross, you know. And he points to the start of the prop box, the center beds. And I'm going to post a photo here so we know exactly what we're talking about. And he points, he touches the raised edge of the prop bet box and says, you can't cross this line, you know, when you're throwing. You know, you're going to have to throw before you cross it. And I'm at stick left 1. If he really wants me to release the dice before I get there, that means, you know, I'm going to have a, I don't know, like less than 6 inches of travel, right? So I said, okay, well, so if you want me to do that, then you're going to make it impossible for me to hit the back wall. You know, you just told me to hit the back wall. So I'm extending my arm far out, you know, so that I can get the dice to the back wall. And, right, but honestly though, yeah, I was extending my arm as far as possible, and I was releasing the dice in front of the stick person, because we've had both male and female stick persons, you know, at the table switching out. So yes, I know you're not supposed to cross like in front of the stick person, but to try to tell me that I got to release before the prop box, like, that's way too much. You know, I'm seriously not going to be able to hit the wall. So anyway, I looked at the rack, I looked at the chips out there on the felt, and you know, I had only bought in for 1,000. I only colored. I only exchanged one of the $1,000 chips, and my $1,000 in my rack. Other than, you know, the 4,000 yellow, I was over 5,000 in the rack, or well, including the bets that were out there on the boxes. So, and I had just rolled a come out 7, so I reset the bonus. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to argue. So all right, okay then, take me down. take all the bets now. I had some bets out there for the dealers. I said, dealers, you guys can keep that. I'm not going to take that back. So, they dropped it. And I know that all the dealers, they had that kind of look. They're disappointed because I'm playing alone and I'm tipping them because I'm hitting numbers. We're hitting hard ways. We're hitting extremes. They're getting paid. They got paid on one side of the bonus too. And, no one wants to sit there at an empty table, and no one wants to work at a table without getting, some tips coming their way. So I know the dealers were disappointed, but they're not going to say anything. They can't, right? So, but yeah, rather than, get into it, they already called me out on the whole, hit the back wall. Okay. And now the guy's telling me I can't, extend my arm, to throw the dice. Yeah, that's enough. And once again, I did a chip count, and, my 1,000 that I bought back into at this table, turned into over 5,000. So it was a good place to stop. So it was about 1 something p.m. So yeah, it was a good place to stop. I cashed out, I colored up, and I had something like 96, 9,700 in chips. Remember, I bought in for a total of 5,000 because I broke one 5,000 band. So I'm gonna review my photo just to make sure I have the right amount. But yeah, so I took a lunch break. I went to Jardine.
A few moments later.
I didn't book any offers for this this drop-in play. I primarily went there because I thought I was going to be able to film. And I wish I could have filmed because I had 2 great rolls. One at the regular craps table, and then that last roll at the Crapless table, turning 1,000 into over 5,000. But yeah, oh well, unfortunate. So quick lunch, and during this time, I was messaging with Bluff, just checking. We had sort of mentioned like potentially meeting up, on this day, and I was like, "Are you out and about somewhere?" And he said, "No, I'm just sitting on the couch at home." But he said he was thinking about going to the Strat. Like, oh, okay. And I had actually just recently asked my host to look into getting me an offer at the Strat. But yeah, backtrack a little bit. Yeah, I didn't book any offers at the Wynn because I didn't want to be tied down, because I did want to be able to move around. So yeah, so that's the thing. This year I am, leaning away from booking offers, committing myself to playing some minimum number of hours at some set average bets. I will often hit those minimums anyway if I just do play like I normally do, but I wanted the extra freedom of being able to bounce around because I might have wanted to go meet up with Bluff, or if things weren't going well, I didn't want to be stuck there just banging my head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over, because I am really trying to break myself from doing that. So yeah, it's like, okay, cool. I actually wanted to check out the Strat anyway, so I was like, all right, let's meet there. But after the Wynn, I stopped by Palazzo because it's just a quick walk over the bridge, because I owed them $7,000 in markers from my last visit there. Yeah, unfortunate. It was part of that whole meltdown debacle after hitting all those ATS bonuses. So yep, I had to get those paid off. But hey, I arrived with enough cash to pay it off, but it's always nice when the Wynn wants to contribute to my payment back to the Venetian. So I stopped by the Palazzo, paid off the 7,000 in markers, and the Crapless table was empty, just sitting there waiting for me. So I bought in just 1,000. First roll, no good. Second roll, we had a little something going, but no. And then just basically, I just dumped the 1,000 because at the very end, I just put everything out there. Once the point was set, I bet more on the extremes. Basically like 50 or 75 per extreme, and just put it all out there. And then didn't happen. So all right, well, gotta go. So I hopped over to the Strat, and then the Strat, they only have one Crapless table open, and it was busy. It was basically full. I was forced into the very corner, next to the base dealer on the far end, and I hate that position. But it was the only position that was open at the time, so I went there, and when the dice came to me, I had a pretty good roll. Don't want to overestimate, but it was somewhere in between 15 to 20 rolls. So yeah, that was a good one. And you can tell by the chip rack photos. I bought in for 1,000. They gave me all quarters, which is like okay, that's interesting. Because anyway, yeah. So one thing about the Strat, yeah, it was busy. It was packed. There was a lot of annoyances, like hands in the field, late betting, lots of dollar chips flying around, all the things that I don't want to deal with. But just wanted to give it a try. One special thing about the Strat is they take 10x odds across all numbers. So yeah, I was putting 10x odds behind often, but with just a quarter on the pass line, like 250 odds, it's not that crazy. So yeah, and we hit a few points that way. So that was good. They have this funky extra side bet where if someone rolls a yo on the come out, then whoever bet the bonus gets an extra spin, and then if your position number is selected, then you can get a shot at winning the progressive jackpot. I might have bet it like 10 times. There was a yo one time. Only Bluff and I were on it, and neither of us got chosen for the second spin, but we got like $40 out of it, so whatever. Basically evened out. One more quick thing I want to talk about. At the Strat, they have this cute little mini tub game. I don't even know how long it is. I don't think it's even 6 feet long. They basically have one dealer, and the layout just goes across. I'll post a photo of it. Yeah, it's a real shorty, and it's crapless. Now, the only thing is, I've been reading about it that you cannot set the dice at this table, at this top game. It'd be real interesting how strict they are about that. Also, if you're really familiar with the dice, you could potentially set it without making it very obvious. If I see sixes up, I can just turn it quarter turn, flip it one turn, and get my usual set. Or if it's showing my usual set, right? I think there are workarounds, but yeah, number one thing would be to just give it a try, see how the table is, how the bounce is, and I think there's going to be some others that recently shot some video playing the Crapless Tub game, so I'll check it out when that's published. And then now the only thing is they're not open most of the day, and usually it's only going to be open in the evenings, on the weekends. So yeah, but maybe I'll specifically make a trip, with the later return flight to try to catch this in action. We'll see how that goes. I mean, the dream is to, just get into a groove and hit those extremes and get to table max, right? So that would be nice. So that was already trip number 12 for this year, 2025. And we are almost done with February. I got one more trip scheduled for this month, and then there's going to be a big drop off. I can't keep doing this. It's a little too much. So March, I got one scheduled trip. April, got two. May, I got two. June, I got two. I will probably end up adding a couple trips here and there as time passes. But for now, I just know that my schedule will not allow me to take as many trips, which is why I was kind of really compressing my schedule and just packing in these trips early. So, and thankfully, we are currently up for the year. At the peak, I was up $36,206. That was after trip number 3 in the middle of January. Then the meltdown happened, gave it all back. I was only quote unquote up 4,100. Managed to have 2 big trips and hit that ATS bonus at the Wynn for another 100 on the all. That brought me back up to 31,676 at the end of January 30th. Then another big steep drop off, dropped 15,000, and then another 5,000, but made those back up. So year to date, I am at plus $19,101 after 12 trips. Not bad. I just wish I didn't have those implosions after the big wins. Yeah, gotta really tighten up. Okay, so yeah, if I ever get an opportunity like that again and hit it big, I'm gonna tighten up. I don't want to keep doing this up and down business. So wish me luck. Thanks for sticking through all this, listening to me ramble on at times, but hopefully you got some useful info, interesting stories, tidbits, and hopefully I'll have more good news to report back. Thank you.
Looking for the hot shooter, crowd stables calling, we want a 40 roller. Chasing the wind, stacking up chips. Cameras rolling, angles clear. Full press at Palazzo, feeling bold. A party at Palazzo, stakes unfold. Looking for repeaters and dodging sevens. He's a gambler's head. Under the lights where the stakes are high. He's stacking chips, reaching for the sky. Flick of the wrist, roll off the dice. Winning it all, he's in paradise. He victorious VDT. On dice, passing that so free. Seen the highs, felt the lows. He'll keep running wherever he goes. There goes the day tripper. On dice, they're taking wins. There goes the day tripper. All down on Vegas Strip. Snake eyes and ace deuce. Playing hard for boxcars to let loose. Press my bets, 4 and 10. Will the dice play nice again? The crowd holds his breath, watching the roll. 6 and 8, he's in control. But that number's lurking, one wrong sway. If the 7 lines is game over today. At the tables, he feels the vibe. Keep clapping, keep the energy high. Uh-oh, it's time. The plane's now boarding. Prepare for some airport running. He's in the